my name is Kaitlyn Steward. I'm originally from Uniontown, Kentucky, which is a teeny tiny town in between a cornfield and a coal mine. I did my undergrad at Kentucky Wesleyan College and Murray State University. I finished my undergrad in May 2019. Then I moved to Clarksville, Tennessee, and now I'm here in Carbondale, Illinois. I'm currently in 2D emphasis with a specific interest in painting and drawing. And the work I'm going to be talking about today are some of the pieces that were included with my BFA thesis show. So starting out, I started with this idea of talking about the culture shock that came with living alone for the first time and leaving my hometown. I visited my home where my parents still live now and went to my old childhood room and realized it had all been converted to storage. And it was this kind of moment where I realized I was off on my own now. And even if I went back, things would not be the same. And that was further emphasized when I finally started living outside of a dorm and completely on my own. And I realized that the only safety and sense of control and safety I had was all dependent on me. So the work I made from there began to explore these small moments of control within the home, how we can control how others see us, how we can control how others get the chance to witness our vulnerability. And I use these images of things like blinds, windows, curtains, etc., to just talk about this one small form of control I had. And it became this moment of realizing that even the home I know and love didn't feel like enough protection for me. And I was constantly hearing these horrible stories on the internet about how women have had these horrible things done to them. And as a young woman on a college campus, it really just emphasized this sense of paranoia that I constantly had. And I had these wonderful roommates who allowed me to take photos of our home and take photos of them through their windows and be a total creep, honestly. But they allowed me to do this, and this kind of gave me a sense of power and a sense of ownership over this fear. It gave me a moment to really feel like I was in charge of this relationship of the watcher versus the watched. So I asked questions on Facebook to my personal friends and family, and I just kind of put out a statement for research about, hey, what do you think about whenever you're walking home at night or when you're walking home from the store? And I got a flood of information from various men and women and their fears and things that they were talking about that they actually genuinely worried about on the daily basis. And it was confirming that these fears were not unfounded. Other people were having these same emotions, but it kind of gave me a new sense of some imagery I could use. So one of these phenomena that you see on Facebook all the time are these stories of women being followed around the store. And I know this is a common thing for me to see. It might not be for you, but because of maybe my age group, and I was seeing all these young college women talk about being followed around in the store. So I was interested in kind of creating this moment where you see these two figures interacting. And maybe they're fine together. Maybe that male is encroaching in her space. Maybe we as the viewer are the ones that are voyeuristic in this sense, and we are viewing them. And I like playing with this idea of who has the power in this relationship, who is in charge of who is being watched, and who is actually the person being watched. So I used this type of imagery to begin with, and then I moved on to painting children. I was a nanny at the time, and being a nanny, while it was great, also gave me an added sense of anxiety and paranoia because I worried about their safety constantly. And using children as this kind of icon of vulnerability, I started painting these kids I nannied. And they're wonderful, great kids. And in this painting specifically, you know, she's staring up at the ceiling. We don't really see what's going on. And the entire idea was to seduce you with these cutesy little kid drawings. Oh, it's so sweet. You know, she's staring at the ceiling. What is she looking at? But the more you look, the more you realize your viewpoint is kind of odd. And it is because you're standing in a closet watching this child. And I like this kind of icky, gross feeling you might get. Some people thought it was cute, and that's fine too. But I hope that you'll dig a little deeper and find that moment of oddity. And moving on to kind of the culmination of my Bachelor's of Fine Arts degree, I finished up this kind of series of work using these children as iconography of vulnerability again. And in this piece specifically, we've got some type of storm cloud rolling in. There's a figure off in the distance in a window. These children are completely oblivious to anything and doing their own little moment of play. And I really am interested in this idea of who is in charge and who holds the power. And I think this was kind of the perfect way I could demonstrate that maybe these vulnerabilities were completely in my head and these children are totally fine. Or maybe there is something to worry about. Maybe it's completely external to all of my anxieties and checklist of fears, or maybe it is actually substantial and there is somebody watching them and it's an issue. So from there, I'm really interested in this idea of gender and how it affects our place in society. I want to work more with gender and especially talk a little bit more about the hometown roots that I have, the gender roles that have been set before me, a little bit about maybe the religious context and the religious shame that I experienced growing up, which is upsetting and dark, but interesting nonetheless. And I'm happy with how that body of work turned out, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So if you want to keep up with me, I'm on Instagram at k.steward.art, and I also have a website, which is www.kaitsteward.com, and that's KAITSTEWARD. I would absolutely be thrilled to hear from you. So thank you. Have a great day.